Welcome to Top Advisor Marketing, where you will learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your practice. Brought to you by Top Advisor Podcasting, a done-for-you podcasting solution built just for trusted advisors. And now, your co-hosts of Top Advisor Marketing, Kirk Lowe and Matt Halloran.
Hello and welcome to another Top Advisor Marketing podcast. Today, we have a person who is going to talk to us about storytelling, and not just regular storytelling, story branding. Now, this is something that has been in our industry for a while, but for some reason, not enough of you out there are using stories to not just sell, but to have people connect with you. And Amy Huth, who is our guest today, the founder and CEO of Due North Brand Consulting, she is going to talk to us about how you can create a story brand. Is that right, Amy?
That is correct, Matt.
All right. Well, why don't you give us a little bit of your history, if you don't mind? How did you come about being the founder and CEO of Due North Brand Consulting?
Thank you for the nice introduction. Yes, to give you a little bit of background about myself, I have been in the financial services industry for the past 17 years, working with a Fortune 300 financial services organization. And at that organization, I wore several hats, starting primarily in the marketing department, supporting our financial advisors with all facets of their marketing, and then helping take the organization through a brand refresh back in about 2013, 2014. At that time, we were going through some significant changes as an organization, and we had developed a new logo, new color palettes, fonts, photography, messaging. And so I was on the team that helped take the organization through that. And then most recently was the chief marketing officer of a new division of the organization that focused on independent financial representatives. And so I headed up the marketing team and was responsible for all of the marketing development, graphic designers, writers, and marketing managers with that. So I've got quite a bit of experience in the financial services sector.
We as financial services professionals are absolutely terrible, not only at marketing, but also at creating a real brand. Why don't you walk us through some of the steps that you take your financial services professionals who hire you at Due North Brand Consulting to help them uncover this? Because there needs to be a genuine connection, especially in the world today where there's so much noise. If you don't have that real connection, that real connecting point, you're going to miss stuff, right? Talk to us about this brand storytelling or story branding and where that came from. And you're like a certified person. Help us with some of that.
Yeah, I'm happy to. To take a little bit of a step back, Matt, one of the things when I first decided to leave the financial services industry last October, after a long time in that industry, and branch out on my own and start doing brand consultation and marketing consultation, for me, it was really important to select the right name for the work that I'm doing. And trust me, there was many nights where we were sitting around a campfire in the backyard and just thinking, what is the right name for my consulting business as I'm going to go out and be marketing to small business owners and to the B2B industry and sales and marketing teams to help convey what I do. And so I landed on the name Due North Brand Consulting, and that is primarily because there's no clearer direction that resonates with people's minds than Due North. It's an absolute clear direction. And that's the message that I want to convey to the groups and the folks that I'm working with, is to be crystal clear in their messaging. All too often, one of the conversations that I have with a lot of business owners is just that most companies are wasting an enormous amount of money on their marketing. And when I tell you why, you're going to feel it in your bones. The reason is a lot of organizations and a lot of big companies are year after year and dollar after dollar, they're trusting their messaging to design agencies and graphic artists who know everything there is to know about Photoshop and InDesign and Illustrator, all these great design programs, but they don't really have anybody on staff that has probably read a book about how to clarify a company's message. And that's your most important marketing investment as a company is clarifying your message and speaking to your consumers or your prospects in the right voice.
You have a tagline that's quite prevalent on your website. That's if you confuse, you'll lose. I can't tell you how often I am driving down the road and I will see somebody's logo or brand, or I'll hear something on the radio or something, and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know what they do. And we live in a very nebulous environment, right? Somebody who says that they're a financial advisor on one hand maybe just sells whole life insurance or annuities, and then you've got another person who's fee only, and then you've got another person who does everything. And how do you help our industry create a meaningful story that's going to help them rise above the noise?
Yeah. The truth is, people buy products only after they read words that make them want to buy products. So as I sit down with a business owner or a financial advisor, the most important thing that we can do is go through and assess what it is that their customers are experiencing in terms of the problems that they're coming to the, let's say, the financial advisor with. So if you think about our human brains, I'm not a neurologist, I'm not going to pretend to be, but I can tell you two things about the human brain. The first thing is your brain every day, when you wake up, the minute you get out of bed, your brain is designed to think about how to help you survive and thrive. So you're always trying to think about how are you going to simplify your life? How are you going to make more money, meet new friends, or anything else that's going to increase your standing in the world? That's your brain's primary objective. So Matt, if I was with you in person and I sit down and I bring you a cup of coffee, not only am I doing that because I'm a nice person, right? But I'm also doing that because if something goes wrong, I'm hoping now that I brought you that cup of coffee, you're going to help me survive and thrive, right? You're going to have my back in the event that I need you to. It's just human instinct to do that. The second thing is our brains are always trying to conserve calories. So think of all the marketing messages you see every day as you're driving down the highway, the billboards, the radio, everything that you're hearing. Your brain is trying to process all that information. And the fewer calories you have to burn in your brain, the better. So as I'm working with let's say a financial advisor, we want to be able to communicate to their prospective clients or their clients to say, how is your product or service going to help them survive and thrive and achieve their goals? And then how do we communicate that message in a way that doesn't make them have to burn a lot of calories to understand it? Because when people go to your website, they're going to skim your website for about 3 to 5 seconds before they decide to stay or to bounce off and look for other options.
Is there standard language? I mean, how are you helping me? First off, I want to say, if you show up and bring me coffee, you're my best friend. So I want to go back to that because I am going to save you. I just want you to know that is a huge friend thing. Yeah, I like that. But okay, so I click on your website or I click on a financial advisor's website. What should be there? I mean, how are you going to keep me from bouncing?
Yeah, well, we do it by taking a look at the problems that your customers are coming to you with. So, all right, I'm about to ruin movies for you forever, right? But we do this through story, and story is a sense-making device. It has been forever. The average person spends about 30% of their time daydreaming, except when they're engaged in a story. And so think about if you go to a movie, every movie follows the same type of plot, right? You have a character who has a problem and they meet a guide or they meet somebody that can help them with that problem. And that person gives them a plan and calls them to action that either results in success or failure. And so if you think about it in terms of, Star Wars, right? Luke Skywalker wanted to become a Jedi, and it was Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi, right? That gave him the plan to get there. So you have to take a look at what is the problem they're coming to you for. So in terms of financial services, everybody knows they need a retirement plan, right? That's just a given. The problem is most people or most design agencies will build a website that says something like innovative retirement planning strategies. I mean, have you seen the word innovative used across the financial industry?
Yes, ma'am, I have.
What does innovative mean
I don't
when
know.
it comes to retirement strategies?
I have no idea. Yeah.
Right? Or agile, or you're using words that just don't resonate with your customers. What you need to do is you've addressed the external problem is that everybody knows we need a retirement plan. But people buy solutions to what's called an internal problem. So while I know I need a retirement plan, I'm coming to you because the problem may be, can I afford a retirement plan? Is it too late? It depends on what age I am. So the internal struggles are what people buy solutions for, not the fact that they need a retirement plan. But do they have the financial means to do it? Have they surpassed the age? Are they medically qualified? You have to address those internal concerns because that's what your messaging needs to be focused on. Because if you do focus on that, that's what's going to trigger yes, you're speaking to me in a voice that I understand. And you're talking to the problems that I'm coming to you to help solve.
Amy, most financial advisors are actually great storytellers, and they tell stories a lot in their client meetings. How do you take that kind of interpersonal thing that they lean towards a lot and help them create the messaging that's needed to have people say, yep, they're talking to me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a great question. I was just with a group last week of financial advisors that I presented with, and, everybody has different groups that they focus on. Some might focus on a group that's specifically targets Medicare supplement aged folks and that product line. Some may focus on young families with children for term life insurance. And so it's sitting down and understanding with the advisor, who is your target market? When you look at your book of business, who are you serving? And, what is the primary problem that they're coming to you to look to you to solve? And then what is the internal driver that brought them to you? So advisors are like, they've got the best testimonial experience in the world, right? Because they have the opportunity to sit down and really understand what the internal problems are when people come to their office and you have a discovery meeting. And you get an inside picture of what the concerns are. Is it, like I said, is it a financial concern? Is it an age concern? Is it, being able to qualify or get medically underwritten? What are the concerns that are bringing people in? And so helping the advisor be able to pull out that information as we're talking through the website, and then be able to establish the advisor as a guide, which is kind of the Yoda role or the Obi-Wan Kenobi role, right? We want to establish the advisor as the guide, somebody that has authority and is trustworthy. So the guide can also say, look, my family and I also need a retirement plan. We've gone through this and we understand what you're going through, and here's what we can do to help you.
Would you mind taking our audience through your story brand messaging filter?
Absolutely. So as I had quickly run over before, the story brand messaging filter is a 7-part framework, and it's a filter you can use to clarify your message so your customers will listen. And the framework, it looks like this. You've got the first part of the framework is a character, and a story starts when a character wants something. There's two mistakes that brands make when it comes to creating a story. They either don't define something the customer wants, or they talk about too many things they offer that the customer might want. So if for those of you who have seen the movie The Bourne Identity, right, it was about a character named Jason Bourne who was wanting to know who he was at a high level. But could you imagine if that movie was also about him wanting to lose 30 pounds, marry a girl, run a marathon, adopt a cat? The audience would have been lost, right? There would have been just too much information to process. And so as you think about your website and what your characters, in the case of your business, want, you have to simplify the message and be certain to not talk about too many things you think they might want. So it's important, kind of that first principle is when you agitate a customer's desires, they start to enter into that story with you. The second thing is really defining something your customer wants that gets them excited. But of course, we all know this from the movies. No story starts until your character, or your hero in this case, encounters a problem. So we talked through that earlier, Matt, when I was referring to the external, internal, and philosophical problems. And so we define something that's keeping our hero from getting what they want. When we do that, we actually set the hook, because now they know we understand what internal problems they're struggling with. So think about your websites, think about your marketing materials. If you stop talking about your customer's problem, they actually will stop paying attention to your brand. The third thing is when the character has defined their problem and they meet the guide. So in the case of you financial advisors, your role is to play a guide to these characters. Your job is to help the character win the day. So for this, we recommend that your brand never play the hero in that story. All too often, if you think about websites, you'll go in and you'll see stories about how, the brand has been in business for X number of years, combined experience of 100 plus years. The website talks all about the business and not about the clients. That's something you don't ever want to do. You always want to play the guide to help your character win the day and solve the problem they're coming to you for. So the customer, the big principle here is that the customer is the hero of your story, not your brand. And then you want to give them a really clear plan for how they go about working with you. A customer needs an easy step-by-step plan to move forward with you, or they won't. So if you think about it like crossing a river, Matt, you're probably not very inclined to cross the Mississippi, right? But if there's stepping stones that go across the Mississippi, like up at the state park, then you're more willing to take those small steps on the safe stepping stones to do that, to cross to the other side. And so your customers are more willing to do business with you if you give them an easy step-by-step process for how you do business together. So that might be something like schedule a free consultation call, fill out this form, and then we meet in person. It's usually a 3 or 4 step process for how you work together.
I have found, Amy, and I don't know if you have found this too, that advisors seem to think that the more complex it seems for their process, right, that will allow them to justify a higher price. What do you think about that?
As a consumer myself,
yeah,
the more complex an advisor's website is, the more likely I am going to bounce.
Nice. Okay, good. No, I appreciate that. And I think that's an interesting thing because, that's not telling me a story. That's not giving me a good call to action. And I love your point number, which one is it? 3, which is the story, or the customer is the hero of the story, not your brand.
Right.
man, if I could shake every financial advisor that I run into, because this happens often, and say, this is not about you, it's about the client or the customer or the prospect. And if somehow we could make that philosophical shift, you and I personally take this as our mission to save the financial services industry, I think we could make a really big difference.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And you take, and I'm not making a plug for my website, but this is a really good example of, I could have, when I built my website, which is duenorthbrandconsulting.com, right? I could have started off talking about all the success I've had in financial services, mm-hmm. right? And the goals we've met and doing this and that. I have a personal website for that, but I didn't do that on my website. If you go to my website, it talks about how I'm going to help you as a business owner, right? I address the problem that most business owners have, is that marketing shouldn't have to feel overwhelming. And if you're anybody that runs a business, just like I don't care to do the accounting, for my business, I want somebody else that's got expertise in accounting to do that for me. Small business owners they're looking for that help, just like I was looking for accounting help. And so my messaging on my website is focused on letting people know, hey, marketing it doesn't have to be overwhelming, and it shouldn't have to be expensive. We can help clarify your marketing and make you a success, or make you more of a success, because most people are successful. So real quick, Matt, the fifth principle is really around calling people to action. And you guys, as you're out thinking about your own website, I am willing to bet that most people have multiple calls to action on their website. How many of you have gone to a website and seen buttons that are right next to each other that say, learn more, call today, buy now? There's multiple buttons across the website. You need to have one button, one call to action, and be very clear what you want your customers or what you want your prospective customers to do. So again, if you go to my website, I have schedule a call, and that is on every page as you're scrolling down. What do I want people to do? I want people to schedule a free consultation with me. There is no doubt when you go to my website what action I want you to take. I've done other websites for business coaching. It's the same thing. Schedule a consultation call. If you have a product, like I'm working with a client that sells sporting goods, it's shop what the product name is. So we want to be really clear what's your one call to action, and you need to think about it like it's your cash register on your website.
I've actually found not just that, but I've also seen the entire opposite side of it, which there is no freaking call to action at all, and they're not motivating me to do anything, right?
Right.
Now, marketing principle number 6 is something that I don't know. I don't know many financial advisors who do this well. So would you mind telling us what number 6 is?
Yeah, number 6 is key. It is customers want us to cast a vision of what their lives look like if they use your product or services. So you're correct, Matt. Most financial advisors will have pictures of their office on their website. They will have pictures of their team on the website. Pictures of your office and your team are great. They just don't belong as the main header photo. There's a place down below where you're the guide and we're establishing authority that those photos will go. But if you're bringing people into your website, your main photo should show what your client's success looks like. So this could be pictures of a client meeting where a client looks happy and engaged. This could be pictures of what people look like in retirement. This could be pictures of a family that looks secure and financially sound. Whatever it is that you offer in terms of financial services and the outcome of the success of people working with you, that is what your main header photo should look like.
Now, the seventh principle here, because you've got this 7-step process, because you're really practicing what you preach, Amy, and I freaking love that, right? Here's the step-by-step way to work with Amy Huth, right? This is awesome. Now, this last one here, so number 6 and number 7 really stood out to me, because I think this is just not the icing on the cake, but this is where most business owners, not just financial advisors, get up to the plate and, man, they just swing and they miss. So what is the 7th marketing principle here?
Yeah, the 7th marketing principle is basically saying you have to lay out the consequences of not doing business with you. That doesn't mean you need to scare people. It just needs to be subtle. So again, Matt, I'm just using my website as an example, but the second screen on my website says, are you getting a return from your current marketing investment? And then I ask a series of questions like, is your website providing leads? How effective have your marketing campaigns been? What I'm doing there is, first of all, getting people to address, oh, hey, maybe my marketing isn't working as well as I want it to, but I'm also implying that, hey, if we don't do something, these are the failures you could continue to see and experience if we don't do something. So there's a way to do this, right, without having to be scary. Like, if you don't call me, you won't be successful. You don't need to be that obvious about it.
Sure. Well, and, people also make decisions on feeling. And if I'm not communicating a feeling, like I love, and I'm looking at your website right now, it says great marketing doesn't have to feel overwhelming. You just planted a seed of doubt in my brain that I could very well, and we know this is the truth, be overwhelmed by marketing. Whether that's social media marketing, whether that's SEO, SEM, whether that's invitations, whether that's asking for referrals. That's a super powerful sentence that you have on your site. And I really love that. That jumped out at me right away. And I was like, okay, she's really onto something here. Now, with you being onto something and giving us that 7-step program, we have a very dedicated listenership here who are always looking for ways to stand out from the crowd. Obviously, they can go onto your website, which, by the way, we will have links to your site and your social media connection so people connect with you socially. But what should our listeners do? I'm assuming they need to schedule a call with you because that's all over your website and that's what I should be clicking on, right?
That's right. Yeah, I would love to talk with anybody who is interested in revisiting your website and thinking about, I can ask you guys quickly, if you look at your current website and think about these questions, what do your customers want? Are you clearly defining that on your website? Do you know what your customers' external and internal problems are that they're coming to you for? Have you positioned your brand as the guide to your customers? Or are you acting like the hero? Have you created a clear plan for how your customers can interact with you? Are your calls to action clear? And are you showing how your customers can be successful? And are you demonstrating what the consequences are if they don't do business with you? If you've answered no to any of those questions, then yes, please schedule a consultation call with me, and I'd be happy to take a look at your website with you, talk about how to clarify your message. Another thing, if you haven't had a chance to read it yet, I highly recommend the book, Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. It's a great read, and it can help you start to understand that framework of building your brand script and clarifying your message, but that's also something that I can help you walk through as well. So
fantastic. We'll make sure that we have a link to purchasing that book on the site too, because so many of our advisors are always looking for reading material, right? And they love book recommendations. In fact, we've gotten great feedback from when we've had authors on or people who do recommend books. There is a substantial increase in that purchase because advisors are really looking forward to that. So, well, Amy, thank you. Is there anything else? Is there a phone number they should call, or should they go to their website, and are they able to actually schedule through your website to get some time on your calendar?
You bet you can. Yes, if you're on my website, that schedule a call button is all over my website. Mm-hmm. It's my my clear call to action. That is synced up to my Google Calendar, so you can go ahead and just schedule a time that works best for you. There's a free consultation calendar invite in there. And then also, if you want to just contact me directly, my number is 920-915-2725.
And please make sure that you connect with Amy on social media, especially LinkedIn. She's always putting out really good stuff. And that way you can just kind of keep your fingers to the pulse of where her brain is and what she's doing and want some of the great free information that she's offering. So, Amy, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Amy Huth, the founder and CEO of Due North Brand Consulting, is our guest today. So much good stuff here, everybody. If you follow those 7 steps and you ask yourself those questions that Amy just had you ask about not just your website, but also your client-facing marketing material, or when you're communicating with a center of influence, all of these great questions and this perspective that she is forcing you to have changes the game. It's going to separate you from the advisor down the street, which is exactly what everybody here wants. Of course, if you have not subscribed to the podcast, make sure you click that subscribe now button below. And if you know somebody who really needs this information, just click share. And if you have an extra moment, give us a quick rating on iTunes. That'd be super helpful for all of us here at Top Advisor Marketing. And if you have an idea or a suggestion of a guest to be on the podcast, make sure you reach out to me on LinkedIn. Boy, that was a mouthful. And I will be more than happy to reach out to them and get them on the podcast. So for everybody at Due North Brand Consulting and everybody at Top Advisor Marketing, this is Matt Halloran, and we'll see you on the other side of the mic very soon.
Are you ready to change the way you communicate with your clients? Are you tired of being the best kept secret in your area? Learn how to become a prolific online influencer, attract more ideal clients, and grow your business. Contact us today and see what the power of podcasting can do for your business. Click on the Contact Us link on our website at topadvisormarketing.com and set up a call to learn more. Follow us on LinkedIn and Facebook for more updates and information.
This was brought to you by Iris.xyz, a platform helping financial professionals become better in business and life through new media and new voices. Visit them and learn more at Iris.xyz.